In 2021, Congress passed legislation that called for a National Academy study that would look forward over the next 10 years to identify major challenges that the Coast Guard may be facing in light of new technology, in light of changes in climate conditions, in light of geopolitical dynamics, and then to ask whether the Coast Guard likely has sufficient statutory authority. The National Academies organized a committee to try to form consensus around those issues and asked me to chair that committee. The committee comprised 12 individuals, 4 of whom were former flag officers of the U.S. Coast Guard or U.S. Navy, former commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. We had also representation from other academics, but also people from industry with background in tech, other legal experts as well. Then we went through a 17-month study process. We heard from lots of folks at the U.S. Coast Guard, including 2 Coast Guard commandants because of a change in the leadership during the course of the study. Over 50 outside experts contributed to the report and to our investigation. And then we deliberated and came up with this extensive report that investigated 10 major developments that we can anticipate the Coast Guard will be confronted with over the next 10 years. And we came up with about 35, 36 different actions that the Coast Guard is likely to need to take to address these 10 challenges. And then for each of those actions, we looked at the Coast Guard's existing legal authority and asked whether it would be adequate to provide the Coast Guard with authority to undertake those actions. And the good news is that, by and large, the Coast Guard has sufficient statutory authority. We identified 2 areas: autonomous vessel technology and commercial space operations, where there will be some gaps. Some of those gaps in statutory authority actually parallel some gaps in international law, so there will have to be some coordination between any changes that Congress makes in statutory authority and international legal norms. We also identified cybersecurity as an area where it might be prudent for Congress to really make sure that it's clear that the Coast Guard has the authority it needs to respond to cyber attacks. But the good news is, by and large, the Coast Guard has the statutory authority it will need. The less than good news is that these challenges are going to be very demanding. And statutory authority alone is not going to be enough for the Coast Guard to respond effectively in the face of these new developments and the exacerbated emergence of existing developments. So the report also emphasized the vital role that mission support capacities and capabilities, overall human workforce capabilities, overall data and technology capacities, overall ability to be nimble with procuring new technologies. Those mission support aspects are absolutely vital. As lawyers, we can sometimes think that the law is all that matters. But when it comes to agencies' performance in the face of some of the most pressing challenges of our time, statutory authority is but a necessary precondition for success. It's not by itself a sufficient condition for success.